Hey everybody, this is Josh Ronquist here for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, here for another edition of Out Today and What I Missed, this time for May 23rd, 2025. We have another 20 albums that we'll be talking about this week, 7 that come out today, 13 that I've missed along the way, and altogether I will have covered 460 albums in 2025 once I'm done with this list, so let's just get into it. First up, we have And Oceans with their Regeneration Itinerary. And Oceans is a band that never rested on their laurels throughout their entire career, and the band sets out to forge a new path with every album that they release. And with their 7th album, they've proven that fact once again. With their Regeneration Itinerary, it feels like the band is rejuvenated and set out to create some music that they've never created before, all while having some familiar sounds to it. The band continues their symphonic black metal sound, but have added some nice healthy doses of industrial, gothic, and experimental moments in just the right spots to recreate a quite refreshing sound. The production fits the chaos surrounding the music, and the songwriting is inspired beyond belief. Whether this combination will work for you or not is up to your judgment, but I love how the band has gone back in time and also forged a new chapter in their sound at the same time. It can be jarring at times, but by the second listen it will feel natural and feel like it's supposed to be there, while at other times it fits like a glove from the moment that you hear it. The band has produced another fantastic album, and in 2025, we need an album that continues to push the boundaries of what extreme music can be. This does all of that and so much more. Next we have Sarisian Velat with Unman. Sadly, the demise of Ghost Brigade in 2020 meant the band went their separate ways to create their own musical paths, but 4/6 of the band wanted to keep creating music together and enlisted Ville and Panu into the band, and Sarisian Velat was born. The band is not Ghost Brigade 2.0, they are their own band that has their own original sound to it, but they do have very much of that broader territory with more of the post-rock, post-metal that Ghost Brigade started exploring in their later albums, but now they've also incorporated some more alternative rock and progressive elements as well. The music is also all in Finnish, so even though I don't understand the language, I love the vocal melodies on display, and they perfectly fit the music on hand. The band is doing things completely DIY here. The band is doing almost everything on their own, from the production to the media to everything else that a band needs to stay viable in 2025. This is the best possible outcome for this band who wanted to stay together and keep writing the music that inspires them, and we are better off for it. While you won't be getting any screams or growls in this one, the music doesn't really call for it. This is a gothic tinged progressive post-rock album done in all the right ways, and it keeps getting better on every listen. If you are intrigued by this notion at all, you should give this one a proper shot. Here we have Fragments of Unbecoming with Dawnbringer, Chapter 7, The Amber Emperor. 6 albums in this German band's career, and they are writing some of the best aggressive and inspired melodeath in 2025. This album is intense from beginning to end, whether it's full guns blazing or some mid-tempo stompers, but they have just the right amounts of melodies and harmonies thrown in when they're called for, but it never gets in the way of the heaviness that they want to show off. It's been 7 years since their last album, and the world has gone into a much darker place in that amount of time. So what a better album to put on than this one. If you enjoy the likes of the Black Dahlia Murder, Night Rage, Hypocrisy, this is a band that you need on your radar. From that classic 90s sounding production style to the songwriting that fits the mold of the more aggressive side of melodeath, Fragments of Unbecoming has put out a ferocious melodeath album that is sure to shake up the genre for a long time to come. This is some stellar work. Here we have Moonlight Haze with Beyond. The 4th album in this Italian symphonic power metal band, featuring past and present members of Elven King, Temperance, and more bands, is such a quality album of the genre. So much of the album feels like it hits back on that classic era of power metal of the late 80s through the early 2000s, with some classic heavy metal vocals on one end and some mesmerizing operatic vocals on the other, all done by their vocalist Chiara Chirico. My apologies for your last name pronunciation. The production fits that mold as well, and the songwriting on display is just that sweet spot of hitting everything that you love about symphonic power metal in just the right ways. This is easily for anyone who likes Nightwish, Delane, Early Day Beyond the Black, and more. This is a killer release for the genre, and it makes me so happy to see a symphonic power metal album coming from a symphonic power metal fan. If you love the genre, you need to hear this one from Moonlight Haze. Here we have Senna with Stranger to Love. The debut album from this German outfit hits everything that is catchy and accessible to the 2020s heavy music scene, all while incorporating so much more. Yes, this band easily fits among the likes of Bring Me the Horizon, Asking Alexandria, Leave, one of my favorite bands of 2025 so far, and others, but they also add their own spin to it all, adding elements of post-rock, modern progressive metal, and more. No two songs sound alike on this one, and that's what makes the album such a treat to get through, especially on the first time listen when you just don't know what's coming next. Honestly, yeah, this is one of the lightest albums that I've covered in a while, and that is also what makes the album so refreshing to me. While it is so catchy and accessible, it also doesn't sound like any other band that I can really pinpoint. I can pinpoint ones who might enjoy it, but they don't sound like those bands. This is how you innovate a genre that is so radio friendly, but you don't need to be a copycat. You just need to be yourself. That's exactly what Senna is doing here, and I'm excited to see where they go from here. Of course, this won't be for everyone who checks out my reviews, but if you need a break from all the funeral doom, mathcore, and progressive metal that is coming down the pipeline, especially coming up, give this one a proper listen and see what the mainstream is doing in 2025. Here we have Thus Spoke Zarathustra with I Am Done With Self-Care, It's Time for Others' Harm. The sophomore album from this Maryland deathcore band is my kind of deathcore, meaning it's not just relentless blast beats, pig squeals, and breakdowns. Granted, all of that is in this music, but it does so much more than that. It harkens back to a time when deathcore just started evolving into the genre that it could be, meaning there will be hits of more progressive moments, more melodic and harmonic moments, even more metalcore riffs on occasion. It appreciates the past, but it innovates for the future. It's also an album that is a concept album that I won't divulge into here, but it gets pretty grim and it hits the right moments at the right times. The production isn't too polished or overproduced, but it still hits every note that you would hope that it would. Again, this is my kind of deathcore where it is so much more than the initial start of the genre, and it's all the better for it. This is a band that you need to look out for if you enjoy the genre, or even if you don't, this might be the band to get you into it. If you want another concept album from a deathcore band, like what Whitechapel did earlier this year, give this band your attention and see if it does what you want in your deathcore. And here's Where Waters Mingle with their self-titled debut. While this one technically came out this past Monday, I'm still counting it here. I don't have a lot of info on this one as I discovered it through my daily scrounging of new album releases and stumbled upon this one, and I was instantly intrigued by this Montreal band. It is a band that is so layered in progressive metal, but it hits the extremes of death metal, melodeath, and tech death at the same time. It never goes too long into any of those genres, and it hits that sweet spot of the slower to mid-tempo moments for most of the album that feels so satisfying, all while turning up the intensity in tailor-made ways to grab your attention. The production hits that fine line between raw and polished, which should make anyone who checks out this very, very happy. And the songwriting has so many twists and turns that keep your attention from beginning to end. If you want a mix of prog, tech death, melodeath, and simply extreme metal, you should give Where Waters Mingle your full attention. This Montreal band is soon to be going places as soon as people discover this album. I hope this will be the catalyst to get them the recognition that they deserve. And now for all the albums that I've missed, starting off with Akorantis, which I think is how you pronounce it, but I also do have it in English and in Greek in the description, so hopefully it's right. With Nekaira, The Necromantic Patterns. 10 albums in the last 18 years is no easy feat, but this Greek black metal band has put out killer album after killer album every single time. They have been a band that explores the deepest recesses of what black metal is in its darkest form, and on their 10th album, they have perfected it. This is one of the darkest black metal albums I've heard in a very long time, and it truly feels like a trip through hell. This as unholy as it is cryptic in all the right ways. From the black metal screams to the haunting cleans that show up, which feel even more sinister, mix all of that with the musical backdrop of spectacular songwriting and perfect production for the style, and you have an album that is sure to stand the test of time. If you enjoy the likes of Nightbringer, or if you want to hear what Tane could sound like if they actually had good production, this is more than worthy of your time. Turn out the lights, light one candle, and feel the darkness consume you. Next, we have Ancient Bards with Artifacts. Ancient Bards returns with their 5th album. The Italian symphonic metal band is doing some incredible work here with some of their hardest hitting songs to date, but songs that have gone from full guns blazing. They also have songs that are absolute tearjerker ballads. It feels like the track listing is about 3/4 heavy and 1/4 ballads, but it's that combination that truly works. This is easily some of the band's best work to date and some of the most emotionally gripping albums that I've heard in quite a long time. With pristine production, this album shines in the darkest and lightest of ways. I will admit, I understand why people won't like the ballads on this one. It does have a layer of cheese that you just can't separate from them, but I love cheese, and I'm just not one of those people. I love what they're doing here. They perfectly fit the mold and are a great counterbalance to all the heaviness that the rest of the album brings. This is one of the true standout albums of symphonic metal in 2025. If you love the genre, you are doing yourself an injustice by missing out on this one any further. Put it on and enjoy. Here we have Anthropomorphia with Devoid of Light. Missing the boat on this one last week, much to my dismay. Stuff happens, I apologize for missing this one. This is the latest from this long-running death metal band that I love so near and dear. The 6th album from this band, with a good break in between, has been pushing themselves harder and harder since their return in 2012, and is made for a band that has been improving with every single release. Devoid of Light is more than lives up to the name, as this album goes either full-on old-school death metal or hits close to death doom territory, leaving you with no joy, in the best possible way, of course. The production is just slick enough to give you that punchy feel, but it makes everything sound so much more brutal. If you love the likes of Grave, Bloodbath, Gorefest, etc., and if you've never checked out Anthropomorphia, you don't have an excuse anymore. Give this one your full, proper attention, and hear one of the best displays of old school death metal done in 2025. Next, we have Bella Mimir with Nocturne. In what sounds like a true celebration of what doom metal can be, Bella Mimir has released their debut album, and this is the exact type of doom that I live for. It can hit the early days of epic doom metal, started by the likes of Candlemass and perfected a little bit more with Cathedral. It hits into the deeper, darker funeral doom style of bands like Ahab, and it turns around a mix for some of the most emotional riffs in the genre this side of Pallbearer. It hits them all, and it all feels authentic and heartbreaking. The songwriting is pain-inducing in the ways that you want from the style, mixed with just a polished enough production style that leaves the realness and the rawness intact. It's an emotional trip, and it grabs my heartstrings every single time I put it on. If you want a crash course in what this side of doom is all about, not the stoner side, not the Sabbath side, this style doom, Bella Mimir may have put out one of the best doom albums of 2025. It's still early, but it's gonna be so hard to top. Now we have the Callous Cowboys with I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. This is album of the year potential through and through from this Georgia mathcore band. I just really gave them a chance this year, and I'm so very glad that I did. It's Zappa meets Dillinger Escape Plan meets 2000s emo and post-hardcore all rolled into one. They are a band that hits all of the styles of music that helped shape my musical listening outside of metalcore, prog, and all these other styles. From the band's 3rd album, the band has gone in so many different directions, but they still may have put out their catchiest and most accessible album to date. The wackiness is still here, you still hear those Zappa aspects going on, but it is matched with songs that feel like it's that perfect 2000s MTV2, the rock, emo, post-hardcore that you heard right before Headbangers Ball, if you know what I'm talking about. You hear African beats, you hear samba beats, you hear R&B, all mixed with blast beats, mathcore breakdowns, and emo stylings. It's something that sounds like an absolute mess on paper, and for some people, that's exactly what it is. But for people like me, I need an album that hits all these elements of bands and genres that I love, done in an authentic way that you just have to listen to understand. You may never get it, but for me, it instantly clicked. And I will just say, if you want to hear a one-of-a-kind album from a one-of-a-kind band, give the Callous Cowboys a spin or two and see if it works for you. Whether you've found your new favorite discovery or a band that you'll hate forever, I think it's worth the risk to give them a try. Here we have Dead End Scene with Mind Over Matter. The debut album from this Finnish band hits all the right elements of sound that grab my attention. It can get as mainstream and as modern as bands that you hear on the radio for the 2020s. It also hits elements of rock and metal that you simply don't expect. The vocals have just enough grit to them without sounding too aggressive or clean. The music behind it all is proggy without sounding like a progressive band. The production is crystal clear. Imagine a band like Whom Gods Destroy without all the prog wankiness behind it all, and trading it all for a more mainstream sound. That's the best description I can give for the band. There's probably a better one, but that's what I think of it anyways. This is such a great mix of rock and metal made for the 2020s. It's fun to listen to from start to finish, and it just feels endlessly catchy for someone who wants more than just 3 chords in a song. If you're looking for something like this, or if it just sounds intriguing to you at all, I implore you to give this one a chance and see if it's for you. I couldn't have been more pleasantly won over. And you just might be as well. Next up, we have Deep Sun with Storyteller. 4 albums in 9 years from this Swiss symphonic metal band, and they sound as fresh now as they did in the beginning. Hitting all the right aspects of the symphonic sound without sounding like a carbon copy of any particular band is a hard thing to pull off in this style, but it is done with such authentic songwriting and the soaring vocals of Deborah Lavignolo, which I hope I pronounced your name right. While this is that genre through and through, it's done in such a way that makes me so happy that the genre is coming back so strong in 2025. The band is not afraid to be symphonic, and symphonic metal is not afraid to be symphonic anymore. If you dig the likes of Visions of Atlantis, Xandria, and Revengeance, check out Deep Sun and enjoy the symphonic wonders in front of you. Next, we have Echo Soul with Time of the Dragon. The sophomore album from this predominantly Indiana band is pure progressive power metal through and through, and I wouldn't want it any other way. It hits as heavy as thrash, and it gets into just the right amount of proggy elements, but that power metal is the focal point of the band. It's done expertly, and with help of Rob Lundgren, also of the band Mentalist, who I just covered this month, is fronting this band as well, doing a spectacular display of vocals. This is a band that should be playing every prog power-centric festival around the world, and maybe even the non-power prog power festivals out there. It's just made for everyone who loves the genres and wants it done just heavy enough. This is an album that should be in your repertoire going forward if you enjoy these styles. It's a stellar album that shows that the power of progressive power metal is alive and well. Here we have Helllight with We the Dead. It should be no surprise that a band that literally put out an album called Funeral Doom back in 2008, their sophomore album by the way, is continuing that style in 2025 with their 8th album. In short, this is everything that you expect from the genre, from the haunting keyboards to the dirge tempo, to the vocals that sound like a stone slab being lifted off a tomb. What makes it stand out is how it's created. It features clean vocals as well, it has twists on the genre formula in the songwriting that needs to be heard to understand, and the mood of the music is just that perfect tone for everyone who has ever loved Funeral Doom, both the album and the style of music. This is an album that will rip your heart and soul into pieces, and you may never be able to recover, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Again, simply put, if you love Funeral Doom, again the genre and the album, you need Helllight in your life. Here we have Category 5 with Awaken a New Age of Chaos. A brand new discovery for me is something that I wish I had in my life so much sooner. The 6th album from the Salt Lake City band is everything that I love about mid to late 80s metal rolled into one package. The music of Crimson Glory, the vocals of Queensryche, the prog of Fate's Warning, and the occasional thrash of Death Angel, especially everything from the Ultraviolence through Act 3. Mwah. This is a masterclass of that era, and I'm so happy that this is being performed in 2025. With a production that reminds me of that late 90s, early 2000s prog in just the right ways, and the songwriting that is just that sweetness to the ears, that is for anyone who wants that nostalgia trip but also wants it modernized just enough for the modern day. I can't sell it any better than that. If you love 80s prog with just a tad bit of 80s thrash, this one simply rules. Go check out Category 5. Here we have Letter Sent with Post Gravity. This is that early 2000s metalcore, post-hardcore sound done to perfection. It hits the right elements of both genres rolled into one, and it gives you that nostalgia factor that is hard to top if you're there for the ride. But it also is a great introduction for anyone who wants to venture into the sound. Maybe you didn't grow up with it, maybe you ignored it when it happened, but you should give it a shot. This German band couldn't be more proficient in their sound, and it hits the mix of heavy and emotional in a way that can send shivers down your spine. This is such an excellent display, from the songwriting to the performances to the production. This is the early 21st century in 2025, just updated slightly to fit that fact. This just hits the right chords for me, and if you love this sound, Letter Sent might do the same for you. Here we have Opia with I Welcome Thee, Eternal Sleep. I got to this one far too late, so I've been meaning to cover this one much sooner. About a month ago, actually, but I am so glad I'm doing it now. The debut album from this UK and Spanish band is that perfect gothic doom album that I've been waiting for all year. It has the keys of Typo Negative, the darkness of Draconian, the dynamics of Tristania, and everything that you love about gothic doom all rolled into one. The production is crystal clear while still sounding authentic. The songwriting is haunting, and the performance on display is top-notch to the nth degree. This is everything that makes Gothic Doom so wonderful throughout its history, and it feels like a true love letter to the genre while still forging its own path and creating a new name for themselves for the future. Put on your finest black attire, go to your local reworked cathedral, and blast this. I couldn't think of a better appropriate venue for this album and this band. What a magnificent display of what Gothic Doom should and can be. And finally, for brand new albums that I missed, here is Route Zero with Dark Rainbow. The sophomore album from this UK outfit is a brand new discovery for me, but a welcomed one. There is such a dark atmosphere to all of this, presenting a band that can hit the haunting sides of Doom with just enough of an alternative edge, and it still leaves room for some prog metal throughout. It hits on so many levels and going in so many different directions, almost sounding concise in exactly what is called for song after song. It feels like a mix of Lacuna Coil, Typo, Exiled Hope, Catatonic, Catatonia, and even Carnival, which I was not expecting. Had I discovered this album and band in 2009, they would have been one of my favorite bands. But considering this is only their second album, I can't wait to see where they go from here and how much more they will progress and grow. This is a magnificent album that hits so many quirks while striking home with so many dark genres. If you think you might enjoy this, I guarantee that you will. Give it a go and prepare to be blown away. There you go, folks, another 20 albums down for Out Today and What I Missed, and 460 albums in total over the past 17 weeks. That's right, from the end of January to now, I've covered almost 500 albums. So what do you think? Did I cover some good ones? Did I cover some bad ones? Anything you're looking forward to checking out? Anything that's a brand new discovery to you? Anything that you're going to steer clear of? What did I miss? Please let me know in the comments down below. And make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I'm almost at 1,600 subscribers, which, considering what I do and not doing negative work, that's pretty impressive in today's age, and I'm pretty happy about it. And make sure to come back next week as we cover Out Today and What I Missed for May 30th, 2025. And until then, for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, this is Josh Runquist saying, embrace the skullet.